The Giants actually, the NFC East, they play on Thursday night against the Cowboys. We're not really going to dive into that. What we will dive into is the rest of the primetime slate. Starting with Sunday Night Football, we got Buffalo going to Baltimore, taking on the Ravens. Ravens 2.5 points. What do you got here? Any leans? Anything you're feeling good about with this Ravens-Bills potential playoff clash?
So the more last week unfolded, the better I felt about backing Baltimore in that like absolute must-win spot. What it felt like that was a spot where Baltimore rises to the occasion and Dallas doesn't, right? Like that is the difference between those two franchises. Yep. Now that being said, I still think that Baltimore has some issues that if they're gonna go anywhere this year, they need to rectify, especially on the defensive side. Like they let Dallas hang around way too long, and I think if you play with fire like that against Buffalo this week, you're going to get burned. So I'm inclined to lean Buffalo in this game.
I'm leaning Buffalo because I thought the Bills were going to be a better team, I think, than maybe they're not. But I'm leaning Buffalo because you look at their offense. It's been pretty explosive so far this season. The Ravens have had problems stopping chunk plays. I think Josh Allen is in a much better spot than he's been in recent years, where I do wonder if like getting away from Steph Diggs has kind of changed his outlook and the way that they move the ball around. Feels like the running game is a bigger area of focus than it's been in the past. It finally feels like everything's kind of falling into place. They're gaining an identity, which has been my big issue with Buffalo in years past. So I like the Bills here in a potentially uncomfortable spot. This feels like we're kind of taking the banana in the tailpipe with laying or taking the road team here, but Baltimore. For a team that won pretty big last week, I'm almost like, do I want to jump ship already on this team? So
I think Buffalo was a team that people, I don't want to say overlooked them, but there was a little bit of like post-hype vibe to them coming into the season where because they had the Diggs departure and the lack of a flashy number one receiver, some departures on defense.
They let you down every year in the playoffs.
But it's like it's similar, and we've talked about this in the past, where it's like, okay, well, you brought in some new pieces. Like, who's to say that's not going to work? Because the old pieces weren't working. Like, they worked to an extent, but why then do they get into the playoffs and they collapse every year? Why is their defense getting hurt every year?
Definition of insanity stuff. Like, you can't just keep
going.
So
at some point, you need to make changes. And I think the natural inclination is to question how they were going to fit. I think we're seeing so far they fit pretty damn good.
My big question with them, and this kind of ties our entire show together, is coaching in the long run. But, maybe we're kind of speaking out both sides of their mouth with that. I don't love them when it gets to the playoffs because of that reason, but for now, I think he's good enough to keep them on the straight and narrow. Monday Night Football, we got a doubleheader again. This game sucks so bad. Tennessee is going to Miami. The Titans are 1.5 point underdogs against the Dolphins, and then you have Seattle going to Detroit, take on the Lions. Lions 3.5 point favorites at home. Let's start with that Titans-Dolphins game. We have 2 minutes left. Any leans here? Are you just going to watch Raw until it's time for the other game to start?
100%. Because, last week, both of these teams, it really let me down. Because
you feel sick.
I am devastated. Yeah. Because, the one thing with Tennessee is, again, the Will Levis problem keeps cropping up. And it's like, well, maybe this is the week they fix it a little bit. They dumb it down, and it just doesn't become that much of an issue. And then it happens again. So you want to talk about insanity. The Titans are the definition of insanity right now. On the flip side, thought we were getting a lot of value with Miami, making that, you lose the quarterback. We've seen some of these teams, the backup quarterback comes in, you get the 1 week bump, putting a lot of stock in their coaching acumen.
I screwed up.
Mike, I was there with you. I thought there was good value there, and I wanted to back Miami. And then we saw, we start wondering, why is Skylar Thompson the backup quarterback? And 42% of his passes last week went behind the line of scrimmage. So they're not even there's no. I get Miami in general isn't a team that necessarily pushes the ball downfield through the air. There's a lot of you're scheming it up with the running game and whatnot. But can we at least throw past the line of scrimmage?
That was a pretty verbose way of saying Tennessee and Miami are both bad. I'm just going to look at this and say,
give me the under. What's the total in this game?
I'm taking the points at home against Will Levis. I am no way laying points on the road with Mayo guzzling Will Levis.
So it's the lowest total of the week, 36.5.
I'd rather just take the points with Miami. I just no way you can lay points with Will Levis. If you're gonna give me points at home, I'm taking it even with my
I think this line's flipped.
Oh, has it?
I got Miami favored by 1.5.
Was this a typo in our notes then? Either way, I don't care. I'm taking Miami here. So, I guess this one's not getting used.
Yeah, this may have flipped.
Okay, well.
But yeah, I will. God, I guess
still
I gotta.
I don't care.
I'll take Miami too.
And then he takes on Seattle, Detroit.
I actually like this game. I think this is, to go back to what we were saying earlier. I think you're gonna learn a little bit about each of these teams. I think so I like Seattle for the long haul, but I think that this is a week that I would maybe look to fade them because I think the level up in competition in terms of like the offensive talent that you're facing is such an increase from what they've faced to this point.
Yep.
I think there's going to be a little bit of shock value to that. So I could see this being a little bit of a hiccup for them. I think they'll bounce back, but I'll lay the points with the Lions.
I would lay the points too. I actually think this has a chance to be one of those blowout games where we have to reassess everything. I think Detroit really started to kind of get right a little bit last week. I know they got a little bit lucky with a pick six that wasn't. But coming home, place is going to be rocking. Seattle, their toughest test of the year. I think they get blown out, run out of the building, and then all of a sudden we have to reassess whether we think Seattle is actually good. Is Detroit found itself as the Super Bowl contender we all thought they were? That's kind of just a narrative-based approach to how I think this one's going to go.
The Seattle has faced Denver, New England, and Miami without Tua.
Yeah, and I don't even think
all bad offenses.
I don't even think the Lions are that good, but this is by far the best team.
Agreed.
They're good. I don't think they're as good as everybody else is. All right, anything else we got to get out here? We're going to get kicked in the face.
No, let's go get some sweet chin music.
All right, that's Ricky. I'm Mike. Thanks for watching The Spread. See you again next week. Goodbye.